Hey there, fans of the Survivor Super Fun Time Show. This is Kevin from the Super Fun Time Show. We had Survivor 49, episode 2. Exciting times. I mean, the episode, it gave us a few things, which was really interesting. We had our first, real major journey, which I was a fan of, and I'll talk about why I'm a fan of that journey in particular. We had, someone who was, delusional and thought they were running the tribe and found out very quickly that they weren't. And I thought that it was an interesting one. We saw the new theme, and I wasn't as big a fan of the new intro, but they're kind of all the same, just different twists. So a lot of really cool things happen in the episode, and I can't wait to break into it with all of you. But first, before we get into all that, make sure to hit the subscribe button for the channel. We're going to be talking Survivor throughout the season. We got some interviews lined up to do some recaps for the season. It's going to be super awesome. Dare I say super fun and awesome. First of all, right away, Uli tribe, it's the vibe tribe in many ways. They've got a lot of good things happening for them. They've been winning. They have some great players, although it looks like Jawan maybe a little bit on the outs. And with him on the outs, you're thinking to yourself as a viewer, I'm like, man, he's going to need some kind of a grand gesture in order to get himself out of this. And wouldn't you damn know it, foreshadowing is a thing, and it absolutely happens later on in the episode. And we'll talk about that later. Savannah seems like one of the main characters of the season already. We're very interested kind of at all times as to what she's doing and, how she's doing. I was excited because when I saw that she was a former news reporter, chances are we're probably going to get a Rick Devens style news reporter segment with a little do in the background while she's saying, update from Fiji. We're going to be out here doing blah, 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 blah. And damn it, we got it. And I was a big fan of that. You don't want to overuse that kind of a gimmick too much, but I haven't seen it since Devens, and I was like, man, we got to see this. If you have a news reporter, you got to capitalize on it. Like, what's the point if you don't? It's like being a lawyer on Survivor and not lying about it. Like, it'd just be ridiculous. I also have to say the segment with Nate talking about trying to get in with Uli and like all these young people and talking about vibes, it was so great because the whole time I was like, Nate has a case of the Murtaugh. Like, he's just way too old for this shit, and that's his nice way of saying it, which I love. I mean, he's doing his best. He's trying to, assimilate. This is the age-old, how does the older person on the tribe try to get along with the younger people? But yeah, he's got a bad case of the Murtaugh. I thought that was really fun. The Uli tribe's kind of bonding really well. Rizzo and Nate and Jawan and Sage. It's really fun. And Shannon. I have to talk about Shannon. Shannon is someone I've shit-talked a lot from preseason and even episode 1. I said she was going to be the first boo because I thought she'd be too weird to the point where she would be on the outskirts. However, I did think Uli would be a really strong tribe. So despite me saying she'd be the first boot, I also thought there was a pretty good chance that Uli wasn't going to lose very much. So I have to turn it around, though, because aside from the fact they haven't had the opportunity to go to tribal council, it appears she's at like the right level of weird. She's at like weird that's still useful. Like she looks like she's someone that's kind of moldable by someone like a Savannah. And she's probably not going to be itching to get rid of a Shannon. Shannon seems to be on board. She seems to be smart. She's smarter than she lets on. And she's savvier than she lets on. So slowly, very slowly, in the first 2 episodes, I've become more of a Shannon fan. And I'm very thankful to say that because I don't like going into preseason and having to cast a black cloud over a player. I don't prefer it because I don't know what I'm talking about in preseason. No one does. We just look at stuff and we try to go off of the little basic bios. And Shannon, if for me, it was going red flag. I'm getting a lot of green flags from Shannon. So I'm kind of excited to see where she goes. And same on the Hina tribe. Jason, I mean, if there's someone I said I'm going to pick a quitter, it's Jason. And the first 2 episodes, there's no signs of that. In fact, it looks like Jason's thriving. It looks like he's doing great. He's good at something that clearly the Kele tribe is not very good at, which is puzzles. So I think that means he's probably going to be around for a little bit, which is exciting. I mean, Hina, the behemoths that are Hina right now, they're steamrolling the other tribes. It's incredible. I mean, mini spoiler alert for the review, Hina obviously wins immunity at the end of the episode, and they do it in heroic fashion. Pretty incredible. I mean, all of them are firing on all cylinders. I mean, you have, Sophi with an E, you have Christina, you have Steven. I mean, MC is a monster, by the way. Her leaping up the wall in the one challenge, incredible. And, Jason and Matt, they're all getting along. Hina is a well-oiled machine. I'm very curious what will happen if they actually have to go to tribal council. I think it'll be a little crazy. But right now, it doesn't look like they're going to anytime soon. So I'm going to keep that magic rolling. And the Kele tribe's a disaster. I mean, they come back from the previous tribal council where Nicole was voted out and Annie thinks it was all her. It was all the mastermind. When in reality, it was tiny little Sophie and Jake and Alex, all in on this. And they weren't going to let that happen. I mean, it's very interesting to see the dynamics where someone's like so overconfident, like Annie was, be able to tell everyone what to do. Like, don't go find this, find that. I think one of my favorite parts of the episode that was super low key was Annie, was bossing Sophie and Jeremiah around and told them they're getting the wrong coconuts. She basically was like, don't bring any bitch ass coconuts my way, okay? Go out there and get the good, fat ones, right? And just Jeremiah and Sophie just mocking her. It was, I don't know. It's so funny, man. It's funny the way people act sometimes. And, it's going to rub people the wrong way. I mean, Jeremiah is one of those people in this episode that was not receptive to that kind of talk from Annie. And it made me like Jeremiah more. And it made his like ridiculous evil laugh even better. I was like, okay, this episode, Jeremiah is somebody in preseason I was not super looking forward to, which is unfair purely because of his laugh. And this episode, I was like, all right, he's bonding with Sophie. He's saying the right things. It looks like he's navigating the social relationships well. And I think he's reading what's going on super well. So I'm actually a fan of Jeremiah now, too. And I think he reacted to Annie the way I would have reacted to Annie in the way she was talking. And Annie was girl bossing too close to the sun. I mean, how could you go out there and say, like, you know what? I've thought about it. We need to get rid of Jake. Definitely need to get rid of Jake. What do you mean we need to get rid of Jake, Annie? Are you kidding me? What, are you going to go into all these challenges with just what? Alex and his angels? Like, what are we talking about? You want the big beefy guy around as long as you can. Otherwise, you're going to be snake bitten. And I have to admit, I love the Jake Shoe Bandit skit. I love that skit. There's not many times where it's just like bros being bros in some of these episodes. I mean, and this is one of those things where Jake's like, yeah, it's 1% chaos, but it's a 99% entertainment. Because that's something like I think is hard to conceptualize as a Survivor fan. But out there, you have nothing to do all day. All you have is nature and opportunity. So I think stealing someone's shoes and throwing them harmlessly, like not burning them, not burying them, and they get them back soon, that's a fun activity. That's just, you and the boys just hanging out and just having fun on the island. I love the Shoe Bandit storyline. I think it's really fun. Super fun. Now, one of the biggest positives of the episode for me is they have a journey, the first journey of the season. And this was an exciting one because they got on the boat and, went to the island. A bunch of bros. It was Matt from the Hina tribe. It was Jake from the Kele tribe. And it was Jawan from the Uli tribe. Going back to what I said from earlier on, it's like Jawan's kind of on the outs of the Uli tribe. He needs to do something to turn it all around. This is where it happens. Basically, they say there's 3 nets and they have to be filled with coconuts. And when a coconut drops down, that person is out of the challenge. What you have is the opportunity for 2 people to gang up on one person instantly and put all their coconuts potentially in their net, and you can knock them out. Or you could just take turns and throw coconuts in other people's nets. And that's what they did. I was disappointed. I was hoping that 2 people were going to dogpile on one. By the end, the winner was actually Jawan of the Uli tribe. I know, the rich get richer. And with that, basically gets told you have an opportunity to do one of 2 things. You can either be selfish and take one of the other 2 people's votes that just lost, Matt or Jake, and you will have an extra vote in the game. Or you can take the tribal disadvantage and you can use this to give them a disadvantage so that you could possibly help your team win immunity. It is quite the pickle. I think as a player, that's really tough. This early on, trying to win tribal immunity is probably the best thing to do. Now, Jawan probably didn't know how on the outs he was because just staying away from tribal council is probably what you want right now. An extra vote is only so useful. So, let's say that he had actually taken one of their extra votes, which, by the way, could piss off whoever's vote he took if he sees them later on in the game. But let's just say he did that. Then it's what? It's going to be 3 on 4, actually, because it'd probably be Jawan and maybe one ally versus the 4 other people of Uli, the block of 4, like Rizzo and Nate and Savannah and Shannon. So the extra vote wouldn't have really done anything for Jawan. So it was probably a good move that he went for tribal immunity. And spoiler alert, they go to the immunity challenge, and guess who doesn't have to go to tribal council? The Uli tribe. Although the penalty did not help at all. And we'll talk about that. And what I love the most about this journey, nobody was forced to lose their vote. I mean, to be fair, if Jawan had voted to take one of their votes, I guess somebody was forced to lose a vote because of a journey. So I'm not going to get probes totally off the hook. But they at least made an alternative where the players had some kind of a decision in losing a vote. So I'm thankful for that to a degree. So this is one of the better journeys I've seen in a while. I typically still don't like journeys, but this was a better one. So they come back from the journey, and Jawan lets everyone in the Uli tribe know he got the disadvantage. He told the truth. It's so easy to tell the truth when you're going to be telling people really awesome things. They use that at the next immunity challenge. Basically, it's a penalty where everybody on the tribe that the disadvantage is assigned to is going to have to carry 20 pounds of coconuts on their back. And when they get to this portion where they have to use a key, the Hina tribe is going to have to figure out among like 10 keys what the right one is, where everyone else only has one. So pretty big disadvantage, especially because it's, each person has to have 20 pounds. It's not like you need to share this 120 pounds of coconuts. No, each of you is getting 20. If you're weak, sorry, you're going to have to get through it no matter what. And I loved it on the mat, like the trash talk. Like Sophi on the Hina tribe was like, yeah, it's basically shots fired, and we don't like that. And I love that Jawan's like, sorry, you got picked. Let's move on with the challenge. And then Sophi on the Kele tribe doing a little shimmy. I was like, let's go. This is one of the better feelings from Survivor. So they run the immunity challenge, and actually Kele is kicking ass in the first part of it. They're doing super, super well. But like every challenge that happens in the new era, it's, obstacle course, run up this ladder, go under this bridge, and then eventually, you carry this, and then you get to a point where you go up a ramp, and then you're at a puzzle where you have to put the puzzle together. Kele gets there first. Kele has an advantage that is insane in order to win this thing, but they blow it. I mean, you have people on the puzzle who are just, I guess, just not good at puzzles. I mean, Hina and Uli end up winning the winning fishing gear, and the harsh truth of new era challenges is there's not really variety. And to some degree, I've made peace with it. They want to use the same challenges and repaint them every season. And the biggest problem is with that is because it always ends on a puzzle. If you're not any good at puzzles, no one on your team's any good with puzzles, you're probably going to lose every time. That's how disaster tribes are formed so easily. So the Kele tribe loses, and they're on their way very quickly to becoming the disaster tribe of 49, which I think they've kind of cemented their spot in that illustrious category. Now, with Kele having to go to tribal council, it gets really interesting because Annie thinks she's running things, when in reality, someone like Sophi is running things. Alex makes it more interesting because Alex actually, in the episode, finds the Beware advantage with Jake. And with the Beware advantage, he has to follow this chain that eventually lead to a box. And then Sophi gets looped into it with her boys. They start looking around for it, and Sophi finds it first. She tries to cover it up because she's like, yeah, I could tell Alex, but I want it for myself. I love that Sophi was trying to take it for herself. That was a brilliant move. I think that's what, a true competitor does. Unfortunately, it sounds like she was only seconds away from cracking that box open and getting the idol for herself. And Alex gets it, which means he gets an idol and he gets his vote back. So the alliance stays strong, which is good. Sophi at least has an alliance member that has an idol and a vote, but it's not as good as having your own idol. And the thing about idols is once you get one, I think you feel a lot more confident in the game. And there's a scene where Alex is like, yeah, I'm not super sure about Sophi. I have Jake, and Jake's pretty close to Sophi, so I could just get Jake for myself and go after Sophi. He shows Annie that he has the idol. And remember, Alex and Annie made an alliance in episode 1 where they were like, ideally I was trying to hook up with this like older lady and myself and run the game. And while watching the scene, I was like, I'm not sure what Alex is trying to do. Because it seems like he's tighter with Jake than he is with Annie. It seemed like the Annie thing was kind of just out of convenience. And he did show Annie that he got the idol. I was interested because I'm like, well, if he is truly going to vote out Annie, why would you do that? Because she could squeal. And if she squeals, someone like Jake finds out or Sophi finds out, they can then commiserate and say, why is Alex telling Annie about the idol? What relationship do they have that we don't know about? Maybe we should get rid of Alex tonight and not worry about this idol in the future. That could be. That's what I thought the pitfall was. It also could be, conversely, Alex knew Annie was going to go, Jake and Sophi knew Annie was going to go, and they just told Annie to make her feel even more confident than she already was, because at that point it seemed like she thought she knew everything that was going on in the game. I guess she's like a CEO in real life, aside from being Trashy Annie, the front man of her band. She seems to think that it was all going her way. So, they go to tribal council, and the editors, good job to them to make it seem like Sophi was actually going to get voted out of the game. When she wasn't, of course. Annie, unfortunately, was voted out. Man, Sophi's running that Kele tribe. I'm telling you, like, there wasn't a moment in episode 2 where I was worried she was going to get voted out. I don't think Alex wanted to test the big man Jake and try to get rid of Sophi. My inkling from watching it, as much as they're pushing like bromance with Alex and Jake, is that Sophi and Jake are closer than Alex. So I was like, that's never going to happen. Alex, I don't think he has the stones for that early on in the game. Maybe later on, because I see smarmy in Alex. I see massive smarminess. But for right now, I think everyone's got to kind of bend the knee to Queen Sophi. Kele's rapidly on their way to becoming a disaster tribe, but I have to say their first two votes, I think, were the right votes. Getting rid of Nicole and Annie, I think, were the proper two to get you in tip-top form. Now, next episode, it looks a little scary for the Kele tribe because I guess in the preview, they show a snake, Jake the snake, and it looks like maybe Jake got bitten by a snake and they're worried that he's venomous. And Omar Zahir from Survivor 42 mentioned that the banded sea crate, which I believe is the snake that's shown on video, is one of the most venomous, poisonous snakes out there, although it is one of the least aggressive. So if a very poisonous snake bit Jake, based on the preview, that could be a problem. But overall, I mean, episode-wise, it's better than the premiere episode, I think. It didn't drag on as long. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. So it's going its way up. I mean, the people I like, I'm getting to see. I'm getting to see a lot of Savannah, which is great. I love. Not as much Rizzo this time, but I do love Rizzo. Sophi from the Kele tribe, obviously great. Jake, the shoe bandit stuff is making me laugh. Alex is smarmy, but I'm starting to buy into his smarminess. I think it's fun. You know, this DC political communicator. It's coming across very well now at this point. And the Hina tribe, I feel like I don't know a lot about him other than MC. I mean, MC was kind of like clued into an alliance with Matt and a few others. And right away, MC was like, yeah, I'm going to go snitch to Sophi and let her know what the deal is. So I actually really like that MC, who I didn't know anything about. I was like, she's probably just some athletic chick. Maybe she's along for the ride. No. MC's here to play. And I love that. I was so happy with MC's preseason interview stuff from like Entertainment Weekly. I was hoping she would do really well. And she's showing glimpses of that. And I'm excited. But what did you think of the episode? Let me know down below in the comment section and let me know who you really like, who you love at this point in this season. I'm super excited to hear because there's people that are growing on me in a big way. Like Nate on the Uli Tribe's growing on me. Christina from Hina is also doing it. Sage has her charm. She's got this like wacky quality that like a Nora Salmon has from Island of the Idols. And I love Nora. So right now I'm not rooting for Sage, but I'm starting to turn the corner. But that's going to do it. Hope you have an amazing day, everyone. You take care.